Hello there everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. You're probably wondering, hence the title and the thumbnail of this video, what the hell is that chap from Sex Education doing with a pink outfit playing on a piano? Well, this is actually Ncuti Gatwa, and I love the guy. He obviously played the Doctor in Doctor Who, but in this specific picture, you actually see him as another character. This is not for Doctor Who, but this was actually a part that he played for the play called The Importance of Being Earnest. Obviously, this is one of the most celebrated works of Oscar Wilde. The Importance of Being Earnest is a brilliant comedy of manners that skewers the absurdities of Victorian society. Obviously, first performed in 1895, but it remains one of the greatest plays in English literature. Wilde's sharp wit, satire, and farcical situations create a hilarious narrative that critiques social conventions, marriages, identity, and hypocrisy. So, obviously, Ncuti Gatwa is playing the one and only Algernon in this play. He's obviously the main character, but obviously let's just talk about a bit more about obviously the story. At its heart, the play revolves around the idea of bun-bearing, a term coined by one of the characters, Algernon, obviously Algernon Moncrief, to describe the act of creating an alter ego for one's own convenience. Algernon and his friend Jack Worthing both fabricate identities to escape their responsibilities, leading to a tangled web of mistaken identity, romance, and dramatic revelations. Despite the play's humor and light-hearted nature, Wilde's writing offers a deep social critique, exposing the ridiculousness of upper-class society's obsession with a princess. This is especially evident, in Lady Bracknell, whose unforgiving judgments and rigid expectations highlight the hypocrisy of aristocratic values. In the play, also, Lady Bracknell is played by a black woman of a color a woman of color, my bad. And that's very interesting because I saw bits of the Importance of Being Earnest film, which is really interesting, and the entire cast was white, obviously, but now it's also critiques the racism, because obviously in that era or that period of England, I think some people were very conservative, or conservative, conservative, were very conservative, and I think it's very brilliant to actually, put more color into the play, because it's already a very absurd play, and it critiques so many things, and if you put an extra layer on top of that, it's brilliant. But anyway, I was like, damn, that's interesting to talk about. Obviously, we have Jack Worthing, aka Ernest. Jack is the protagonist, a seemingly respectable young man with a secret double life. While living in the country, he maintains the persona of Jack, but when in London, he adopts the name Ernest to indulge in a more carefree existence. His love interest, Gwendolyn Fairfax, is infatuated with the name Ernest, which sets up the central conflict. Jack must find a way to legitimize his false identity. Obviously, playing the most important part of the story, obviously, the importance of being earnest. Earnest is the name, but also earnest is a synonym for being true to oneself, or telling the truth, right? So we also have Algernon Moncrief, a charming and mischievous bachelor. Algernon embodies Wilde's wit and sarcasm. He invents an imaginary invalid friend, Bunbury, to provide an excuse for skipping social obligations, a practice he calls bunburying. He later adopts the name Ernest himself to woo Cicely Cardew, Jack's ward. Very interesting stuff, right? We also have Gwendolyn Fairfax, sophisticated, confident, and somewhat superficial. Gwendolyn is obsessed with the idea of marrying a man named Ernest, believing it to be the epitome of respectability and charm. She is unaware of Jack's deception, but remains resolute in her romantic ideas. Cicely Cardew, Jack's young and imaginative ward. Cicely is fascinated by the idea of rebellion and romance. She dreams of marrying a man named Ernest, unaware that Algernon is only pretending to be Jack's fictitious brother. And in the film, so that's also something very interesting that I really liked about the film, Cicely dreams about being in love with the knights, and I really found that very beautiful. We also have Lady Bracknell. So Algernon's domineering aunt, Lady Bracknell embodies the strict and shallow standards of Victorian ar- aristocracy. I believe she famously interviews Jacks to determine his suitability as a husband for Gwendolyn and delivers some of Wilde's most biting satirical lines. In the film, that was also very interesting. We also have Miss Prism and Dr. or I guess Sir Chasuble. Miss Prism is Sicily's governess, a woman with hidden connections to Jack's past. Dr. Chasuble is a clergyman, often caught up in trivial conversations about religion and the possibility of christening Jack and Algernon as Earnest. The funny thing is, I think things align here because I saw it in school. We had some lessons about it, and now obviously I saw this picture of Ncuti Gatwa, so that, you know, I immediately thought of our lessons that we had about Oscar Wilde and obviously the play, and we watched the film also. Very interesting. We haven't finished it by the time you're watching this, which is quite sad because I can't review it on Letterboxd now, damn it. But anyway, let's talk about Oscar Wilde, the man behind The Wit. Born in Dublin in Ireland, Oscar Wilde was a playwright, poet, and also a flamboyant personality and keen on intellectualism, right? He studied at Trinity College, where he became an advocate of Ostatism. Ostatism. I think I pronounced that word right. Bro, like, English is not my first language, so hopefully you understand it. Anyway, the belief in art for art's sake, Wilde's works often explored themes of beauty, morality, and hypocrisy, and he became famous for his witty epigrams. His novel The Picture of Dorian Gray delves into the dangers of vanity and corruption, showcasing his fascination with ethics and descendants. However, this career and personal life took a tragic turn when he became involved in a high-profile scandal. Obviously, I also did research, and he was like in an affair with like a man, and obviously in that time period that was not, possible. So there we go. But he lived in exile in France, where he wrote the Ballad of Riding Gaulle, a powerful poem reflecting on his suffering. He died in Paris in literally 1900 or 00, then guess the first year of the 20th century, aged 46, leaving behind a legacy of literary brilliance and defiant individuality. So now that you know what the story is about and who the author is, let's circle back to the beginning of the episode or the video where I talk about Ncuti Gatwa playing, obviously, Algernon. So, obviously, in 2025, the National Theatre production made a revival of The Importance of Being Earnest, which was directed by Max Webster, known for his inventive and theatrical productions. The staging was a visual stunning reinterpretation of Wilde's classic wit, featuring bold costumes, contemporary elements, and a fresh take on Wilde's humor. The cast obviously had very interesting actors and actresses. We had Hugh Skinner as Jack Worthing with perfect comic timing and a strong emotional core. And we also had obviously Ncuti Gatwa, right? So that's very interesting, whose vibrant energy and playful charisma made Algernon shine. And Ncuti Gatwa has a lot of charisma and vibrant energy, which is really interesting. So I guess Wilde also inspires me because he has so many great dialogue and so many quotes or one-liners that he uses. I really find them funny too sometimes, and I really find them interesting. So whilst The Importance of Being Earnest remains timeless, offering sharp humor and biting social commentary wrapped in a delightful tale of mistaken identity, love, and wit, his legacy endures through every new production, proving that his words are as relevant and entertaining as ever. And I think that's very beautiful because Oscar Wilde is a very genius man. He was a very genius man, and his works are very interesting, especially this work, obviously, The Importance of Being Earnest. It's very, it's a very talked about theatrical play, and dude, it's a very funny play too. So ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this video, hopefully you learned something new in the process, and I will check you later. Goodbye everyone.